Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over Winter Storm Orlena, which is currently in the western United States, but it will be making its way into the eastern United States, and especially for parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes. Looks like you guys could be dealing with a bit of snowfall, and this could be potentially one of the bigger snow events of the winter season so far. We're not going to have a snowfall forecast in today's video, it's just way too early to do that, but we will be discussing the system and talking about what could happen with it. This is in no way a forecast. Again, we're just discussing what could happen. I think probably by Saturday we'll have your forecast out for this, and we'll have updated forecasts all throughout this weekend and even into early next week. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service. And I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to talk about our national high and low temps for yesterday. The Weather Prediction Center releases them every single day, and for yesterday your high temperature was in Boca Raton, Florida, 88 degrees, and your low temperature was tied between Cotton and Ash Lake, Minnesota, both at negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So I think I'm going to just add that as a little thing in the beginning of the video. Tell me how you guys, if you guys like that, or if you don't really care, if you want me to just kind of remove it from the videos, and I'll definitely take all your feedback. So with the National Weather Service, we have a lot of warnings and watches in effect. We currently have some winter storm warnings all throughout California, especially in those higher elevations, and even into Nevada. We also have some more winter storm warnings through Idaho and even into a little bit of Wyoming there, as well as some more winter weather advisories kind of just scattered throughout the western United States, and flood watches for parts of coastal California there. And then you shift your attention to the eastern United States, and you're looking at wind chill advisories in the light blue, and then in kind of the darker blue, that's where you're looking at wind chill warnings for wind chills closer to negative 40 degrees in the Adirondacks of upstate New York. And you even see a few more wind chill advisories for eastern West Virginia, and some more winter weather advisories through Ohio, Pennsylvania, and into upstate New York, mainly from a little system that's digging down into the northeast, and that's actually providing a little bit of lake effect on that back end. So that's what's really that's what's leading to that winter weather advisory currently being in effect. And also, I almost forgot here, we have blizzard warnings in effect for east central parts of California there in the higher elevations. So here is yesterday's storm. Just want to touch on this just a little bit because we did actually see quite a bit of snowfall, up to 8 inches of snowfall there in parts of Virginia and West Virginia. Right over southwestern Virginia and southernmost West Virginia really looked like the highest totals. And then you saw a broad swath of about 4 to 6 inches of recorded snowfall. These are your snow reports so far, and we do see a swath from southern Indiana all the way eastward to northeastern North Carolina and even into southeastern Virginia, where you saw 4 to 6 inches of snowfall. And then generally, even some of those areas that didn't see that much still saw about 1 to 2 inches of snowfall for the most part in a lot of these areas, from northern Arkansas all the way to eastern Virginia and eastern North Carolina. So here's the Weather Prediction Center's forecast for the next 3 days, and your chance of seeing over 2 inches of accumulating snowfall. And this will take us right through the beginning of this storm, and then we're going to look at their 4 to 7 day forecast in just a little bit. So we see those higher chances out through the western United States, near 100% chance up there in the mountains, where they could even see multiple feet of snowfall. But the real bigger chance is going to be back through the lower Great Lakes, and this is going from now through Sunday. So we're looking at a higher chance through eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, northern Indiana. That's your bullseye area for now over the Great Lakes of who could be seeing the heaviest snowfall. And then here is that day 4 outlook, and this is your chance of about 2 to 3 inches or more of accumulating snowfall. And even though 50 to 70% chance sounds like kind of, it doesn't sound like that high of a percentage, when they put in the day 4 to 7 outlook, usually that does mean that you want to watch out for it, and it's kind of higher than what they're actually showing. And the fact that they already have a 70 to 90% chance, they rarely do that. So they do have confidence that some of these areas, especially when you're in the blues, are going to see some snowfall and maybe even a couple inches accumulating at least. And this would be for Sunday into Monday. Wednesday. Here would be for Monday into Tuesday, and we're looking at a bigger swath that goes from southern New England back through the interior mid-Atlantic there, where you're looking at potentially a widespread 30 to 50% chance, but a couple pockets here and there that are close to 50 to 70% chance of seeing 2 to 3 inches or more of snowfall. And then here would be your day 6 outlook, and this would be from Tuesday to Wednesday, and you can see that probability shifts further to the north and to the east, and you see the heaviest or the biggest chances of seeing some 2 to 3 inches or more of accumulating snow would be in eastern New England and in that region. And then here's your day 7 outlook, and it's pretty much moving out of here. This would be from Wednesday through Thursday, and the main chances through southeastern Canada and into eastern Maine. Now, this is also something that's very important. This is your 40-70 benchmark. This is the 40 degree, 70 degree latitude longitude line right here, and this is usually known as the area where you want to be in terms of a low pressure tracking in the winter for a big winter storm. When you pass over this area, that's usually known as the prime spot, and this is the day 6 or the day 5 outlook. So this would be for Tuesday, and we're looking at this low pressure going right next to that 40-70 benchmark, and that's usually known as, again, one of the areas where you can see the biggest storms, and that's usually when the coastal northeast sees the most snowfall, when it passes right near that or generally within that area. And we're seeing the Weather Prediction Center show that they think that this is going to pass very close to that benchmark, so that would definitely be a good sign if you like snow across the areas of the coastal northeast and parts of the mid-Atlantic as well. Let's start looking at some of the models and just breaking down what they're showing, and we're going to start off with the European model, then we'll look at the GFS and actually a few other models and see what they are showing for this event. Winter Storm Orlena is all the way back here through the western United States, and that's going to be heading further to the east. By this point, we have that low pressure that was the storm for the mid-Atlantic and the southeast areas. That's moving all the way out to sea. This is that system. It's very, very strong by this point because it rapidly strengthened as it's offshore. And that's going to be a big driver because this is going to block that system when it comes through from moving to the east, so it's going to stall out over this area. Now, as this moves out further to the east, we're also going to see this high pressure, which is right here. We have 2 surface highs, one here and one here. That's going to move further to the east, and that's going to allow that colder air to dump into the eastern United States. So we're looking at a fairly good setup into early next week. So this would be later tonight in through Friday morning. We're looking at that system still out through the west. It's gonna jog further to the east. We see that low pressure in Kansas and even into southeastern Colorado by this point, and it's gonna start to make its way into the Ohio Valley and into the northeast. We see that cold air mass from the cold air from that high pressure start to move into the eastern United States. The biggest question is when this high pressure moves further to the east into eastern Canada, how much cold air is going to be left behind, and there's going to be a real issue with the rain snow line, especially if you live right along the coast. There will be some rain snow mixing issues that we will have to sort out, and that's going to be one of the things that we still have to really figure out with this system. So this would be by Saturday night into Sunday morning. We're now dealing with the cold air mixing up with some of the snowfall here, so that's where your high pressure is in place. We see snow moving through parts of the lower Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, through the mid-Atlantic by this point, and it's fairly certain that especially these areas are going to get a decent snowfall. We're only about maybe even 3.5 days out from this event over those areas, so it looks like if you live over the lower Great Lakes, you're going to get another decent snowfall over that same area that got a couple inches from that last one. Your low pressure by this point is in southern Illinois, and if we play this forward a little bit more, you see how it does try to transfer its energy to a little area right over here. So we see this original one right here, we see another one right there, and then that one is going to move up the coast, and it's a very disorganized low pressure. It's very strong, but it's a very wide, disorganized area of low pressure. Usually you see these tight little balls of energy. Now with this one, we're seeing a huge air mass that's kind of trying meant to become a closed air mass, but because of the environment surrounding it, it's not able to. We still see that dying low pressure out in West Virginia, and that's going to allow a little bit of warmer air, so those areas might stay in a little bit more rain, and then it'll eventually switch over to snow. You can see how much of the Northeast by this point, the Ohio Valley's into some of that snow. Northern New England, northern upstate New York, you guys will get into the snow in just a little bit. We're seeing that low pressure track fairly close to the coast, and in fact, the European model actually switches over a lot of those areas to rain. This is one of the only models to do that, and the GFS, the Canadian model, aren't doing that. But still, even if it does switch over to rain, the European model is indicating that you see so much snowfall in the beginning that you would already have maybe 10-12 inches on the ground, according to the European model. Again, that is not my forecast, and I think some of these amounts that you're seeing posted on social media are a little bit overdone. It's most likely not going to be these 2-foot figures that you're seeing put up all over the internet. It's probably going to be a lot lighter than that. We're not going to see this crazy system with over a few feet of snow, over a couple feet of snowfall. This is most likely going to be around a foot of snowfall, which is still a big storm. However, I don't think it'll be like what some of these models are showing, 20 plus inches of snowfall. That low pressure moves further to the east, and then you get more cold air to wrap in on that backside, and that's when you switch over back to snowfall for a lot of those areas. And then you can see that low pressure ride up into eastern Maine and southeastern Canada, and it brings in some more rain and snow for those areas. Here's what the GFS model is showing. So we see that low pressure in through Missouri, and the GFS is a lot colder than what the European model is showing. We see that low pressure move eastward. This would be by Sunday morning. Here's by Sunday afternoon. We're looking at more of that snow blanketing parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, northern Ohio, northern Indiana, and northern Illinois, as well as some parts of Michigan and Wisconsin there. And then you see that low pressure move eastward and transfer its energy. You still have that dying low pressure out here, but the main one is back through here. Now the big question is going to be, how wrapped up does this low pressure get? If it's too wrapped up, it might actually try to budge into the some of that colder air, and some of those areas along the coast will most likely switch over to rain if that were to be the case. If this is a little bit weaker, and if this does close off a low pressure a little bit tighter, then that would be more of a prime setup for that heavier snowfall. Even though it is weaker, it won't really challenge that high pressure to the north, and that should allow most of these areas to stay as snow. So those are still some of the things that we're trying to figure out by this point. It moves offshore. The GFS kind of does a circular motion with this, where there's two low pressures for the most part spinning around each other, and they're trying to figure out which one is going to actually overtake and which one is going to become the stronger one. So you're seeing snow over much of the coastal Northeast. By that point, it strengthens and kind of stays over the same exact area. This will be by Tuesday morning, so this will most likely be a Saturday through Tuesday or Wednesday event from start to finish here. And then you see that low pressure move out further to the north and east. We actually have two low pressures by this point, and we're seeing with more snow, especially up through New England, with that heavier snowfall by that point. And then this would be by Wednesday morning, still snowing in some parts of eastern New England, and then it's out of here by Thursday. Now here's the upper air setup, because this will also be important. We have a very strong high pressure to the north, so the European model's idea that this might budge into it would require a very strong low pressure, which we do have, although it's going to be a question of which one is stronger. Which one is stronger, the high pressure or the low pressure? And also what we have to figure out is how strong is this ridge up through the central United States. If this is too strong, that might, if this is stronger, then this might allow this to actually go further to the south. If this is weaker, then we might see this push up further to the north. So there are a couple moving factors with this. And by the way, this is your high pressure in Canada that is providing that cold air further to the south. And you can see that big low pressure in the green and purple there moving through to the southeast. And that's what's going to move up the coast, and that's what's going to become your nor'easter. Here is the European model and what it's showing for snowfall. It's not really important to look at exact snowfall totals, but it's more important to look at the general path of this storm. And you can see the area of heaviest snow, according to the European model, will be right around here, with some extra snow further to the south into the mid-Atlantic, which is still a decent accumulation. Here would be what the GFS is showing, and you can see it's a little bit further north and west, although it is still fairly similar to what the European model was showing in terms of total snowfall. The total snowfall out out of this event. Here's what the icon model is showing. It's more flat. It's more of an east to west system, so you can see that heaviest band move through the lower Great Lakes and then through southern New England, and that's kind of your biggest east-west band of snowfall. And then here's that Canadian model, which also shows more of that nor'easter setup with heavier snowfall along the coast. Here's a couple models that kind of disagree with the rest of them, and these are more of the minor models that I usually don't take into account, but we want to look at every single model and figure out why it's showing what it's showing. So we see the Korean model, which is indicating that this is going to move to the south, and then it'll kind of stay so much offshore that you won't even see any snowfall throughout these regions, and then move back up the coast to that areas in eastern New England see a lot of snowfall again. So that would be an interesting setup. Here's what the UKMET model shows, and it's pretty much the same thing, although it doesn't do the full curve. So it moves south, and then it tries to curve up, but it also kind of moves out at the same time, and it's just picked up by that stream of energy and pushed out further to the east. Here's what the UKMET is showing on the surface, and we're looking at that low pressure right down here. So this would be by Monday, February 1st, we're looking at that low pressure southeast of the Delmarva, and then if you look at where it ends up as you get to Tuesday, it's pretty much a straight east-west flow where it moves out a couple hundred miles southeast of New Jersey by that point, and then it makes that curve. So if you were to plot that out, it'd be kind of like this with that curve. So a lot of these areas right here would miss out, and then you would get a lot more snow through Nova Scotia, southeastern Canada, eastern Maine, and that area. So there are a couple different disagreeing models. The three main models are actually in quite good agreement, and you could even say the icon models also in decent agreement, but the two other outlier models are what's kind of making me a little bit uncertain with this, because there is still some outliers and there are still some questions in terms of will some of these areas even see any snowfall. There is still so much that can change, of course. So I will be having some updates on the storm, and we will have your snowfall forecast out within the next couple of days, and probably not by Friday, but maybe by Saturday we'll have your snowfall forecast out for the Northeast and the Great Lakes, which is going to be the main area that's going to be impacted. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.